Hello everyone and welcome. I'm excited to start our session today. We're going to explore Mega Goal 2.2, focusing on Unit 7, which is titled, There is No Place Like Home. We'll be diving into some interesting grammar topics related to this theme. Over the next few slides, I'll guide you through the key concepts and help you understand how to use them effectively. Let's get started and enjoy the learning journey together. Today, I want to focus on some key points for applying the rules when doing exercises. First, always show interest. This helps you stay engaged and makes learning more effective. When forming sentences, remember to include correct infinitive phrases, especially those that use too or enough. For example, saying too difficult or enough time is essential. It's also important to write enough correctly with adjectives, and similarly, use too properly with adjectives to express excess. Don't forget about adjective order. Placing adjectives in the correct sequence makes your descriptions clearer and more natural. These are the main points that will help you master the material and improve your language skills. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. When you're using more than one adjective before a noun, there's a typical order that these adjectives usually follow. It's a pattern that helps make your descriptions sound natural and clear. So, how do you place these adjectives in the correct order? Well, generally, they follow a specific sequence, starting with words that describe opinion or quality, then size, followed by age, shape, color, origin, material, and finally purpose. Understanding this order is really important because it helps your sentences flow smoothly and makes your descriptions more effective. For example, if you're describing a beautiful small old round blue Italian leather bag, you're following this natural order of adjectives. Remember, applying this pattern consistently can really enhance your communication, especially in professional or creative writing. It connects directly to the overall theme of clarity and precision in language, which is essential in effective communication. So, keep this order in mind whenever you're stacking adjectives. It's a simple rule that can make a big difference. When we use the article it's because the adjective that follows starts with a consonant letter. For example, in this case, we say a beautiful long white French silk wedding dress. Let's break that down a bit. The dress is beautiful, which makes it stand out as something special. It's long, giving it an elegant and flowing appearance. The color is white, which is traditional for wedding dresses. The word French indicates the style or origin, adding a touch of sophistication. The material is silk, known for its smooth texture and luxurious feel. And of course, it's a wedding dress, meaning it's designed for a very special occasion. So when describing this dress, we want to highlight all these qualities and remember that we use a because the first adjective, beautiful, starts with a consonant. Now let's look at why we use the article "an" in certain situations. We choose "an" instead of "a" because the adjective that follows begins with a vowel sound. For example, in the phrase, an ugly long white French silk wedding dress, notice how "an" is used because ugly starts with a vowel sound. This phrase helps us describe the dress more vividly. We see that the dress is ugly, which might seem surprising, but it helps set a specific tone or image. It's also long, emphasizing its length. Then the dress is white, which is a common wedding dress color, and French, indicating its style or origin. Next, we have silk, describing the material luxurious and smooth. Wedding tells us this dress is intended for a wedding, and finally, dress is the noun that ties it all together. So, when describing something with multiple adjectives, especially when the adjectives start with a vowel sound, we use "and" to keep the flow smooth and natural. This slide highlights a stunning example of a dress that truly captures elegance. It is a beautiful long white silk dress, which combines simplicity with sophistication. The description emphasizes its key features: the beauty of the design, the length that adds grace, and the pure white color that signifies purity and timeless style. The silk fabric not only looks luxurious, but also feels wonderful, making the entire piece both visually appealing and comfortable. This dress exemplifies how a combination of quality material and thoughtful design can create something truly memorable. It's a perfect illustration of the principles we've been discussing about style, craftsmanship, and attention to detail. Let's take a closer look at some simple descriptive sentences. Here, we see, this is a comfortable green armchair. Notice how we use adjectives like comfortable and green to give more detail about the armchair. It helps create a vivid picture in the reader's mind. Next, we have, this is a beautiful old stone house. Again, adjectives like beautiful, old, and stone add specific qualities, making the description more engaging and detailed. These examples illustrate how descriptive words help convey more information and make our writing more lively. Connecting this to our overall theme, using vivid descriptions is key to making our communication clear and engaging for our audience. Let's take a closer look at the look and practice approach. First, it's all about observation, really paying attention to the details in the situation or the task at hand. By carefully looking, we can identify what's working well and what might need adjustment. Next, practice is essential. It's through repeated application that we build confidence and improve our skills. The key here is to practice intentionally, focusing on areas where we can make a real difference. Connecting this to the overall theme, these steps, seeing clearly and then applying what we see, help us become more effective and adaptable. They remind us that progress comes from both understanding our environment and actively practicing our responses. So remember, observing carefully and practicing deliberately are powerful tools on our journey to mastery. Let's talk about to and enough today. These words are really useful when we want to express excess or sufficiency. When we use to, it generally means there's more of something than we need or want. For example, it's too hot outside means it's hotter than comfortable. On the other hand, enough indicates sufficiency, meaning we have as much as we need. Like saying, I have enough time to finish my work, which shows that we have just the right amount. Understanding the difference between these words helps us communicate more clearly about quantities and feelings. If something is too much, it often suggests a problem or discomfort. But if we say enough, we're emphasizing adequacy or satisfaction. This concept ties into the overall theme of effective communication. Knowing when to use to or enough can make our messages more precise and impactful. So remember, to points to excess and enough points to sufficiency. Both are essential tools in our language toolkit. Now let's look at how we use adverbs and adjectives with to. For example, I think you walk too slowly. Here, slowly is an adverb describing how you walk, and to indicates that it's more than what's needed. Similarly, he speaks too loudly. The adverb loudly describes how he speaks, and again, to shows that it's more than appropriate. When we say, it's too hot coffee, I can't drink it, we mean the coffee is excessively hot, more than what's comfortable or safe to drink. And in the case of he is too tall, tall is an adjective describing his height, and too means his height exceeds what's considered normal or necessary. Remember, to always comes before adjectives and adverbs. It's used to express that something is more than necessary or more than desired. So the key takeaway is that to helps us convey when something exceeds what's needed or expected, whether it's a quality like height or a manner like speed or volume. This connects to our overall theme of expressing degrees or levels in English. Now let's look at how we use adverbs and adjectives with enough. In the first example, we see the sentence, we are not walking quickly enough. Here, quickly is an adverb, and it comes after the word enough to show that the speed isn't sufficient. It means we need to walk faster. Next, we have an example with an adjective. He can watch this movie, he old enough. The phrase old enough means he has reached the minimum age required. Similarly, he can play basketball, he is tall enough. Here, tall enough indicates he is sufficiently tall to play. The key point is that both enough with adjectives and adverbs come after the word they describe. Using enough helps us talk about whether something is sufficient or not. It's important to remember that enough is used to mean sufficient, while to is used to mean more than necessary. For example, he is tall enough means he is sufficiently tall, whereas he is too tall would imply he's excessively tall. So, in summary, when we want to express that something is adequate or meets a requirement, we use enough after adjectives and adverbs. This helps us clearly communicate whether the condition is met or not. Now let's look at how we use enough with nouns. For example, in the sentence, I will buy a new computer, I might say, I have enough money. Here, enough is used to indicate that I have a sufficient amount of money to make the purchase. It's important to remember that enough goes before nouns, so whenever you're talking about having enough of something, position enough right before the noun. The key point is that enough means sufficient. It tells us that there's enough of whatever we're discussing to achieve a certain goal or satisfy a need. In our overall theme of understanding to and enough, it's useful to see how enough helps us express adequacy, whether it's enough time, money, or resources. For example, in the second sentence, you can stop now. You've done enough work. Enough shows that the amount of work done is sufficient and it's okay to stop. So remember, enough is a flexible word that essentially helps us communicate when we have the right or sufficient amount of something, especially when we're talking about nouns. Now let's look at how we use enough and to in sentences. When we say enough, it comes after the adjective. For example, your clothes are big enough to fit me. That means the clothes are sufficiently big for me. On the other hand, to comes before the adjective, like in, he is too young to drive a car. Here, to suggests that he's more than the right amount of young to be able to drive. Both enough and to are often followed by an infinitive phrase, which is to plus a verb. For instance, it is too late to stop him, or he isn't old enough to watch this movie. The key point is that enough and to help us express whether something is sufficient or excessive, especially in relation to an action. Remember, enough indicates sufficiency, meaning there's enough of something for a purpose. To indicates excess, meaning there's more than enough, often leading to a problem or limitation. When you use them with to plus a verb, you're specifying whether someone or something has enough or too much of a quality to do something. Understanding this helps us communicate more clearly about abilities, limits, and suitability. Let's take a closer look at some of the key features of this charming home. First, we see a small brick building that gives it a cozy and traditional feel. Inside, there's a wonderful old Persian rug that adds a touch of elegance and history to the space. The new windows are enormous, allowing plenty of natural light to brighten the room and making the space feel more open and inviting. However, the brown velvet curtains are a bit dull and could be seen as less attractive, contrasting with the lovely yellow silk curtains that bring warmth and a splash of color to the room. Moving into the dining area, we notice it's a large, formal space, perfect for family gatherings and entertaining guests. The beautiful old wood floors add a sense of character and timeless charm. In the bathroom, you'll find an old-fashioned, small orange space, reminding us of a bygone era, yet it still feels functional. The calming light blue color used throughout the home offers a comforting, peaceful atmosphere. Finally, we see a nice, large American family, embodying the warmth and togetherness that makes this house truly feel like home. This slide highlights how different design elements and personal touches come together to create a welcoming and unique living environment. Today, we're going to practice using the phrase, "It's cold to go for a walk." This is a useful way to express when the weather is too cold for outdoor activities. Notice how we fill in the blank with different words to convey varying degrees of coldness. For example, if it's extremely cold, we might say really cold, or if it's not so cold, maybe just a little cold. This exercise helps us understand how to describe whether conditions more naturally in conversation. Remember, describing the weather accurately can help us connect better with others and express our feelings about the day. So, let's practice filling in that blank with different words and see how the meaning changes. It's really important to recognize how weather conditions, like temperature, can impact our physical activities. When it's too hot outside, our bodies have a harder time cooling down, which can lead to dehydration or even heat exhaustion. That's why on days when it's extremely hot, it's better to avoid going for a run. Pushing yourself in the heat can be dangerous and might do more harm than good. Instead, consider exercising during cooler parts of the day, like early morning or late evening. Remember, listening to your body and understanding these signs is key to staying safe and healthy while staying active. I don't have enough money to buy this motorbike. You see, when we're thinking about making a purchase, especially something as significant as a motorbike, it's important to assess whether we really have enough funds. This phrase highlights a common situation many of us face, feeling that we lack sufficient money. Understanding our financial limits helps us make smarter decisions and avoid unnecessary stress or debt. So, the key point here is the importance of evaluating whether our financial resources meet the cost of what we want to buy. And, in the context of the overall presentation, it reminds us that budgeting and financial planning are crucial steps in achieving our goals. Being honest about our financial situation ensures we make sustainable choices and stay on track with our financial health. All right, let's look at this sentence. He is not tall enough to reach the cookies. Now, what does this tell us? The key word here is enough. It's used to express that a certain quality or amount is sufficient for a specific purpose. In this case, being tall is the quality we're talking about, and it's not sufficient to reach the cookies. So, enough helps us understand whether someone has enough of a certain trait, like height, to do something. If he were tall enough, he could reach the cookies easily, but because he isn't, he can't. This concept is really important because it helps us describe situations where a certain minimum level is required. It connects to our overall theme of expressing capability or sufficiency in English. Remember, enough can be used with different adjectives and adverbs to give us that nuance of whether someone or something has the required amount or quality for a task. These sleeves are too long for me. You see, the length of sleeves can really impact how comfortable and confident you feel in your clothing. When sleeves are too long, they can sometimes get in the way or look a bit sloppy. That's why it's important to find the right fit, sleeves that are just the right length to complement your overall look. This ties back to our theme of personal style and how small details can make a big difference. So always pay attention to these little things, like sleeve length, that can enhance your overall appearance and comfort. You know, sometimes when we're taking exams, we reach a point where we just feel like we don't have enough time. It's a pretty common situation. When I say enough, I really mean the sense that the clock is running out and we're worried about finishing. It's important to recognize that feeling because it can impact how we perform. If you don't have enough time, it might mean you need to manage your exam time better or stay more focused from the start. But more broadly, this ties into the larger theme of time management and stress control, which are crucial skills for success. So the key takeaway here is to be aware of your packing and to develop strategies to handle situations when time feels limited. That way, you can stay calm, prioritize, and still do your best, even when time is tight. Help, this box is heavy. Now, this might seem like a simple problem, but it actually highlights an important concept. When something feels too heavy, it can slow us down or even cause injury if we're not careful. That's why understanding weight and how to manage it is crucial, especially in tasks that involve lifting or moving objects. In the context of our overall theme, it reminds us that recognizing limitations and using proper tools or techniques can make a big difference. So, whether it's physical weight or the weight of a responsibility, knowing how to handle it safely is key to staying effective and safe. The weather is, well, it's just really nice today. You know, when the weather is pleasant like this, it can have a positive impact on our mood and productivity. It's a small but important reminder of how our environment can influence our overall well-being. So, taking a moment to appreciate these nice days can really enhance our outlook and even motivate us to stay active. Remember, good weather isn't just a backdrop. It's part of creating a positive and inspiring atmosphere in our lives. Let's take a look at the homework for today, which is on workbook page 293. Exercise E. This is an important step to reinforce what we've learned and to practice applying those concepts on your own. Remember, the goal here is to deepen your understanding by actively engaging with the material. As you work through this exercise, focus on the key points we've discussed, such as the main ideas and the connections between different concepts. Think about how this content fits into the bigger picture of what we've been exploring in this presentation. Don't rush. Take your time to analyze each question carefully and to apply what you've learned in a thoughtful way. And if you encounter any difficulties, review your notes or revisit the earlier slides to clarify those points. This homework is an opportunity to solidify your knowledge, so approach it with curiosity and confidence. Once you're done, you'll have a better grasp of the material and be better prepared for what's next.